President Tinubu returns home after joining other world leaders at Guinea-Bissau's 50th independence anniversary.
One of the cardinal points of the Renewed Hope agenda is delivering functional infrastructure in Nigeria.
Debate on imperatives for rule of law and fair hearing in Nigeria. Vice President Shettima speaks on prospects and adherence. Also tonight, 613 families of fallen police heroes get over 2 billion naira checks as insurance benefits.
The presentation of these checks is a small gesture, but a tangible way of showing our support and gratitude to the families of these departed officers.
Good evening. Welcome to NTA Network News. I'm Cyril Stober in Abuja. Joining me tonight from Lagos is Hingino John Adams. And just a quick reminder that this broadcast is live via our website nta.ng/live and on other social media handles on your screen. Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu earlier today joined other African and world leaders in Bissau, capital of Guinea-Bissau, for the country's 50th Independence Day anniversary, where the host president, Umaru Sissoco Embalo, reiterated commitments to key national objectives of the sister West African country. And just before he went on to Guinea-Bissau for that anniversary, the president was in Saudi Arabia, where Nigeria recorded another successful marketing drive as he leveraged on the Saudi Africa Summit to woo prospective investors. Now, following the convincing presentation of the president, Saudi Arabian investors have indicated interest to make Nigeria a hub for investment in Africa, while an MOU has equally been signed to set up a business council to coordinate business affairs between both countries. Now, to get more of the benefits of the trip, Nigeria's Information and National Orientation Minister Mohammed Idris joins me tonight on NTA Network News. Minister, it's good to have you join us tonight.
My pleasure, Cyril. Thank you for having me.
All right, the big question is, why was it important for Nigeria to attend the Saudi Africa Summit?
Well, thank you once again. You know that Nigeria, like other African nations, have had a very long history of relationship with the Saudi authorities and Saudi government. In the last 60 years, they set up a business council. Later, that transmuted into some form of arrangement where Nigeria will have, more serious diplomatic relationship between it and Saudi Arabia. Now, it is important that Nigeria joins the summit because other African leaders were there. Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu went there with a very strong message from Nigeria. That message is that Nigeria is open to business. Nigeria is ready to, have investors bring in their funds for investment to improve our own economic situation, and that all those that have also brought in their money can have their monies repatriated back to their various countries. It is important for Nigeria to reiterate that in view of the kind of situation we've had in recent past, where investors have become wary of having their own investments, repatriated back to their countries. So it was a very successful one. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had signed meetings with the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. It was a very strong meeting. I was there myself, as with the Foreign Affairs Minister. Were there, and there was a very strong message and very strong signal by the Saudi authorities to showcase their commitment to Nigeria's business development. Okay. First, they talked about oil, revamping the economy through revamping our refineries. They went into agriculture, came into security, and all sorts of things. So it was a very, very strong, delegation and very strong, situation that Nigeria presented there in Saudi.
All right, if I might just dwell a little bit longer on it. It was essentially a collective thing, and it's seen as collective African benefits. And specifically, what has Nigeria gained?
Well, so much. Like I said, first, let's look at the situation, the economic situation of Nigeria. In the last 10 years, we've had our GDP decline. 10 years ago, we had about $400 billion mark. That plummeted by over 37%, meaning that we lost about 140 billion in terms of our GDP. Now, if you look at also the big businesses that are available in Africa, around 350 of them, Nigeria has less than 30, 7% only. Nigeria contributing only 7% of businesses that have passed the $1 billion mark. So it means that even with our population, so much need to be done. Therefore, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had to go with that strong message to the Saudis, as he has done to other places, that Nigeria is ripe for business, it is open for business, it is important that they look at the Nigerian situation and come to invest. Now, what are those gains? First, because of the strategic relevance of Nigeria in terms of its population, in terms of its geopolitical situation, Nigeria is such a strong economy where every prospective businessman will want to come. But what has happened? Why have they not come? They have not come because of security situation, because of corruption, because of issues relating to regulation in terms of business environment. So it was important for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to go there, and he went there and committed Nigeria to the Saudi authorities of his readiness to open up the business environment, let the economy thrive, and people can come in, like I always say, and like the president always say, come in with their money, make profit, take it out, nobody will hinder you. So it's a strong one. There was commitment first in agriculture. The Saudi Crown Prince has made a strong commitment to invest in Nigeria's agricultural sector so that we can improve on our food security. They made also a very strong commitment to revamp our oil refineries. In fact, the Saudi authorities have even, in conjunction with the Nigerian government, given a timeline so that this wouldn't be like any other kind of visit. It's not a talk show. This is a practical business. I was sitting there with the president. The Saudi authorities said, look, we want to put in our money in our refineries. The president also asked them, and told them that Nigeria requires some form of investment in our financial system so that we can stabilize our forex situation. The Saudi authorities immediately signaled their commitment to do that. They've done that in other countries. We've seen what they've done in Egypt. They're coming to Nigeria to do that. So it's a very strong delegation, a very successful meeting. Okay.
Well, I suppose the next step would be, how soon will this come to bear?
Well, like I said, the two countries have agreed to have a joint committee to work on the modalities and to come up with a blueprint that all of them will abide by in the next 6 months. Okay. So within the next 6 months, there will be that kind of committee set up, and in 6 months, not beyond that, the direction will be clear to everyone.
Please, there's a timeline. But finally, what you have to say to Nigerians and friends of Nigeria regarding the drive to revamp the economy?
Well, you see what the president has done. The first step he took when he took office was that this monster called fuel subsidy had to go. There is also this drive towards the convergence between the foreign exchange market. The central bank now, does not have multiple stages of currency exchange arrangement. Now there is a single one, meaning that you can now predict what will happen to your dollar. You don't come in here with $10 and tomorrow you don't have those dollars to take back to your country. So it's a strong one. Nigeria is ready. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has signaled that, and we are going in that direction.
Right. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, thank you for being with us tonight.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Well, shortly after he left Saudi Arabia, after that summit, the president moved to Bissau, the capital of Guinea-Bissau, for that country's 50th independence anniversary celebration. He's back, though, but here now is State House correspondent Musbah Wahab with a report of that.
It is Guinea-Bissau's National Day, 50 years after it gained independence in 1973. The event reflects national significance as much as it captures nostalgic moments in the 11-year struggle culminating in the country's independence, which equally came with sacrifices and championed by Amilcar Cabral. Today, Cabral is no more, but the people of Guinea-Bissau and posterity will recall the presence of a current chairman of ECOWAS and president of the largest African nation, Bola Tinubu, at the epoch-making event. Other leaders, including Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa of Portugal, also graced the event. For Portugal, it is the case of past and present relations with Guinea-Bissau, being a former Portuguese colony. On this milestone occasion, every segment and strata of the country was carried along in the celebration, with each participating and displaying their culture. The sporting sector was also well represented. The major opposing candidate in the election that produced President Umaru Sissoco Embalo, Domingos Pereira, was also in attendance. And then the military and paramilitary forces took the stage in turns with their vibrant parade. Women from the defense forces, reminiscent of the ladies who joined the freedom crusaders back in the day and fought for the nation's independence, also added colors to the event. Guinea-Bissau may have succeeded in the fight for independence, but today it continues to struggle for development and political stability. President Embalo enjoined Bissau Guineans and the nation's armed forces to respect their commitment to Guinea-Bissau in order to achieve the objectives of independence proclaimed on the Bow Hills on September 24, 1973. President Bola Tinubu is now back in Nigeria after attending this event, an earlier bilateral and trade event in Saudi Arabia. In Abuja, Musbao and Wahab, NTA News.
The federal government is saying it will continue to uphold the rule of law while placing a high premium on the rights of citizens to fair hearing. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this at the public presentation of 2 law books in Abuja. Dele Atumbi of our Judiciary Desk reports.
Titled The Supreme Court and the Jurisprudence of the Right to Fair Hearing in Nigeria and Public-Private Partnerships in Nigeria, an essential guide for stakeholders delved on the principles of the constitutional right to fair hearing and infrastructure as the critical element for socio-economic advancement of any nation. The first book on the Supreme Court and the Jurisprudence of the Right to Fair Hearing in Nigeria, authored by Yusuf Ali SAN, focused on the principles of fair hearing as laid down in the verdicts of the Apex Court. Vice President Kashim Shettima said that the government will continue to provide enabling environment for the speedy dispensation of justice in the country.
And one of the cardinal points of the renewed hope agenda is delivering functional infrastructure in Nigeria. His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, believes that social harmony and first-class infrastructure are part of the engine room of economic growth.
The Supreme Court of Nigeria is the apex court, so that whatever decision is given, appeal only lies to where none of us seated here has been.
The subject matter of the 2 publications, namely the Supreme Court and the Jurisprudence of the Right to Fair Hearing in Nigeria and Public-Private Partnerships in Nigeria, an essential guide for stakeholders, speak lightly of some of the critical national issues that continue to shape public legal discourse.
Presenting the books to the public, 2 legal icons, Wale Olanipekun SAN and Wale Babalakin SAN, commended the authors for providing the people with up-to-date analysis on the right to fair hearing.
We appreciate legal issues as politicians.
And we try to review all the cases that go to the Supreme Court on the issue of fair hearing.
Yusuf Ali SAN and the co-author, Dr. Adekilekun, are legal practitioners with noble footprints in legal practice. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
Global attention is now shifting to Freetown, Sierra Leone for this year's World Day for the Prevention of and Healing from Child Sexual Exploitation, Abuse and Violence. State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo reports that Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, has already arrived the country ahead of the event.
Another tour of duty in defense of women and the girl child beckoned, and Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, is here in Freetown, Sierra Leone, to answer the call. The First Lady and her entourage were received at the Lungi International Airport, Freetown, by the First Lady of Sierra Leone, Fatima Mada Biu. She thereafter took a boat ride into the capital city, where she was welcomed by both Nigerian and Sierra Leonean cultural troops. Addressing journalists later, the First Lady says, apart from pushing domestic efforts to rid Nigeria of gender-based violence, conversations that address the scourge on the continent must equally be encouraged for the sake of African future.
I'm delighted and very proud of the work she has done. And I believe that the people of Sierra Leone, that posterity will be kind to the work she has done, because the impact you don't even know now until years later. Because what she did, I think, is applause to Africa, because that's bold.
Slated for November 18, commemoration by Sierra Leone will work towards building a coalition against rape and other gender-based violence on the continent and in the world. During the commemoration, Nigeria's First Lady, her counterpart from Angola, Ana Diaz Lorenco, and their hosts are expected to sign commitments and lend their voices to the struggle against the scourge, while also working towards healing for victims. From Freetown in Sierra Leone, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
Thanks for staying with us. The Senate has called on security agencies in Nigeria, both military and paramilitary, to develop a national security policy that will enhance synergy and coordination in their operations. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that the legislators resolved to invite the National Security Advisor, service chiefs, and heads of other security agencies for discussions.
It is the last plenary of the week, this time with a full complement of chamber staff following the suspension of the industrial action by Labour and Trade Union Congress. Senate once again addressed the issue of insecurity. It called on security agencies to develop a national security policy that will enhance synergy and coordination in their operations. This followed a motion by Senator Abdulaziz Musa Yar-Adua, which commended security forces and agencies for their commitment so far.
Urge the various security agencies in Nigeria, both military and paramilitary, to improve and enhance their interoperational synergy and coordination.
Nigerian Police Force to establish dedicated command and control centers at all the state capitals and the FCT.
Army chiefs, defense chiefs, the Director General of SSS, the Civil Defense Chief, and other gun-wielding security agencies, their heads and service chiefs to a closed-door session with the Nigerian Senate.
Senate has confirmed the nomination of Dr. Aminu Maida for appointment as Executive Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission. The bill that seeks to provide for constituency and other special projects in the annual budget of the Federation, sponsored by Senator Babangida Hussaini, was rejected.
Projects under this Act, when passed, shall be community-based in order to ensure that the prospective benefits are available to a widespread and cross-section of the inhabitants of a particular area.
We don't need it. Already the power is given to us here. If we want it to be 200 billion, we can go and negotiate.
Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against say nay. The nays have it.
Senate has passed the Nigerian Maritime University of Korekonko Delta State Establishment Bill. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA.
In the meantime, the House of Representatives has asked the Chief of Defense Staff and service chiefs to unfailingly appear physically before it next week to brief lawmakers on measures and policies being put in place towards addressing security challenges in the country. The House at Thursday's plenary says it will not interface with proxies of chief executives or top government functionaries who are invited for sectoral briefings and debates in Parliament. National Assembly correspondent Mitaire Ikpen reports.
The House of Representatives had scheduled the defense sector to begin its sectoral debate, which is a constitutional mandate of Parliament to receive briefings from policymakers on the floor of the House and seek clarifications where necessary. The Chief of Defense Staff, as well as the Chiefs of Army, Navy and Air Staff, had been invited for this plenary, but their representatives showed up to the displeasure of lawmakers.
When we invite chief executives, be it private sector or public sector, they must come in person. I want to pray that we don't break this sacred tradition of our house, lest we be taken for granted. I therefore move that this sectorial engagement be suspended until the leaders of these agencies that we invited come to address us, take our questions, explain certain things to us.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Our dear brothers, you have heard from the House in an emphatic manner that this House does not encourage, does not accept representation, particularly at this high-level engagement. We thank you for coming.
30 bills scaled first reading and 4 bills were passed by the House, including the bills to establish the Chartered Institute of Business Administration of Nigeria and the Nigerian Council for Psychologists. Also adopted was a motion to establish an inland dry port in Enugu State.
Currently, the lack of major inland port in Enugu, the former eastern capital of Nigeria, is hindering the regional potential for efficient and cost-effective transportation of goods and speedy deliverance of services.
The House has adjourned plenary till the next legislative date. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikpen, NTA.
The Nigerian Air Force is holding its annual Safety Review Board meeting, focusing on strengthening procedures for effective air operations by enhancing its safety management systems across all its units. Defense correspondent Naja'atu Tijani reports.
Identifying hazards associated with air operations and improving present regulations is the reason for this gathering of members of the Nigerian Air Force Safety Review Board, comprising branch chiefs, air officers commanding, and the Chief of the Air Staff as chairman.
That if each and every one of us leaves this meeting with the determination to improve safety in our various areas of responsibility, the results will be visible within a very short time. Commands that have units that are expecting new platforms should start the process of change management, which involves aggressive identification of hazards.
Engineering and operational units are to take priority as the Nigerian Air Force is expecting new platforms which must be evaluated in line with global safety standards.
In terms of this mandate, the board has over the years approved policies that have helped to improve safety processes and the enhancement of safety in the air.
Safety first, and in the Nigerian Air Force, it is of the utmost priority because it deploys air platforms for national security issues. The board is expected to provide appropriate directives and guidelines which would ensure the entrenchment of a positive safety culture in the Nigerian Air Force. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
Checks worth over 2 billion naira have been presented to 613 families and next of kin of police fallen heroes as insurance benefits for the period of 2020 to 2023 under the Group Life Assurance Policy. Francis Form reports that the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Agbetoku, made the presentation at the force headquarters in Abuja.
It is another presentation of checks. The presentation is not to replace their loved ones, but just to assist the families of fallen heroes to reduce their pains.
family of players here is supposed to get right?
In the last 5 months, the Nigeria Police Force said it has settled a total of 1,742 bereaved families, amounting to over 3 billion naira.
This scheme is fully funded by the federal government. The Secretariat of Police Family Welfare Scheme, which was introduced in 2017, is funded by the Nigerian Police Force.
IGP Kayode Egbetokun said the presentation is geared towards reassuring serving police officers of the administration's total commitment to their welfare.
The presentation of these checks is a small gesture, but a tangible way of showing our support and gratitude to the families of these departed officers. It is a way for us to acknowledge their sacrifices and provide some financial reliefs to their dependents.
IGP Egbetokun urged the beneficiaries to make good use of the funds to address their needs and other challenges, particularly in the context of financial stability. Francis from NTA News.
Time now to link up with Hingino John Adams in Lagos for stories making the rounds from that zone. Hingino.
As technology advances, medical researchers have been tasked to explore available opportunities in order to come up with effective ways of tackling outbreaks of communicable diseases. Former Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Senator Adeleke Olorunnibe Mamora, gave the charge at the opening of iChair International Conference on Advances, Innovation and Research by the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research in Lagos. Diana Ajani has details.
Despite lessons gained from the COVID-19 pandemic and efforts to find long-term solutions to health challenges, as well as fast-track attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals, the world remains puzzled by evolving public health issues.
iChair Conference 2023.
This conference, with over 200 participants from within and outside the country, is seeking ways of addressing challenges in the healthcare sector, particularly that of research and disease control.
In the quest for knowledge, it is unending. One thing that is sure is that you stand to benefit from research output. Governments at all levels need to continue to fund research.
Issues raised at the conference include malaria pre-control, biomedical and innovation, oral health, among others.
When malaria is there, transmission varies by the vector. The vector is not the same in different countries, in different areas. Control of malaria can be successful only if there is a full involvement of the population.
Director General and Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, NIMA, emphasized that the 3-day conference will be focusing on providing answers to the different healthcare challenges, improving research techniques, identifying the gaps, and possible solutions towards making the global health space safe for all.
We believe providing opportunities for young people might probably give us direction of the kind of impact of research that we want.
Stakeholders are optimistic that this year's gathering will be a landmark event that will help consolidate the gains and redefine the research and health landscape for the future of Nigeria and the world at large. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
The nation to be able to have access to the immense potential revenue from land, issues such as poor urban planning, inadequate land information, cumbersome registration processes that discourage investments need to be rectified. Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Musa Engiwa, made this known at the 28th Conference of Directors of Lands in Federal and State Ministries hosted by Lagos State. Lanrick Bilay has details.
The need to find alternative means to generate wealth in the space of dwindling revenue has become imperative, especially when there abound areas that have not been exploited. This was the center of discussion at this year's Conference for Land Administrators. Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Musa Dangiwa, charged the land administrators to be detailed in their recommendations. The minister used the occasion to explain the newly initiated National Land Commission.
In terms of the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he has charged us to establish the National Land Commission. National Land Commission is the agency that will drive the process of Land Use Act. So the Land Use Act, we have identified that the reason why it couldn't work properly, or there are a lot of complaints, is because there is no an agency that will regulate and implement it.
Other speakers who talked on the importance of generating land revenue, including representative of the Lagos State Governor, emphasized on the need to rechannel generating revenues from land.
Housing projects that the ministry has initiated in a bid to drive standards. Regulations of the real estate sector, mass building of standard and affordable houses, training of over 720 artisans in the build sector with an expansion plan to train and retrain more artisans.
Most of the areas of generation of revenue from land resource prior to now, or hitherto, has not been exploited fully. So now we are poised to do that.
The conference is the 28th of its kind, involving directors and head of departments and ministries in both the federal and state ministries of housing and land. In Lagos, Land, NTA News.
That's it from here. Network News will be back after this.
Abuja. The third cohort of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council is now in place, with members expected to be 100% committed to promoting a conducive business environment in Nigeria. At the inaugural meeting of the council at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, Vice President Kashim Shettima implored members to align themselves effortlessly with the 8-point renewed hope agenda of the Tinubu administration. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Seamlessly with the vision of President Tinubu and the 8-point renewed hope agenda, Vice President Kashim Shettima said commitment to fostering a conducive business environment is a reflection of a strong political will driving the transformative initiatives which directly contribute to the success of a shared economic prosperity as a nation. Recalling that emerging markets, particularly in Africa, were slowed down in the face of global economic challenges occasioned by the disruption of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Vice President said heightened geopolitical tension in the West African Sahel, coupled with the concerns about national debt sustainability, contributed to a slowdown in sub-Saharan Africa's economic growth to 3.6% in 2022. He expressed optimism that Nigeria has remained steadfast in navigating the challenges through its commitment to economic revival and growth at both national and continental levels, with 2023 businesses generating over $1 billion in revenue. In celebrating the achievements of these 23 businesses, Vice President Kashim Shettima underscored the need to consider them as the beginning of Nigeria's potential, just as he maintained that all hands must be on deck to foster the growth of more businesses. Special Advisor to the President on Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, noted that the Council's mandate is to deliver Nigeria's business environment reform, with dual mandate to remove bureaucratic and legislative constraints to doing business and improve the perception about the ease of doing business in Nigeria.
We need to support those businesses. We have a cohort, a program that's going to deliver and midwife and support those businesses. We continue to work on implementing our regulatory reforms, our judicial and legislative reforms.
Nigeria is gradually seeing in the last 10 years a decline in our GDP, over $140 billion in the last 10 years. So this is an attempt to bring that back. Of all the big businesses in Africa, over those businesses that have crossed the $1 billion mark, only a few of them, less than 30, are in Nigeria. That represents only 7%.
The target is for us to improve on our ranking in terms of providing enabling business
facilities so that Nigeria can catch up with the rest of the world in terms of providing facilities for investment and investors so that investment can thrive and businesses can grow.
The Council's model aligns with the global best practices and includes a strong performance tracking element that ensures ministries, departments and agencies are accountable for reform implementation. From the State House, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
And Benny Adams is right on the heels of that report with business news. Benny?
Thank you. And still talking the economy, the federal government's Technical Skills Development Project is tackling the challenge of unemployment and skills mismatch in the country, as 8,000 youths across the country have undergone professional and quality skills acquisition training in the year ending. Stakeholders say availability of manpower, appropriate technical and vocational skills to meet identified needs of industry and the economy is the focus of the partnership.
Is that there are more skilled individuals to fill those jobs.
The project today boasts of supporting 59 participating organizations and technical colleges with machinery and technical equipment, which has graduated 54,600 highly skilled technicians that are either employed in corporate organizations, or have become entrepreneurs themselves and are employing others.
I currently work for two companies, one here in Nigeria and another in the UK.
It is indeed exciting to be part of this narrative, to be part of this important achievement. And I know that there have also been spaces and platforms at the international level where this particular project was part of the case studies presented on excellent collaboration between the Industrial Training Fund and NECA in terms of supporting, pursuing, and creating a conducive environment to facilitate the transition from school.
And a quick look at the market. Nigerian equities appreciate marginally by 0.02%. A total of 483.8 million shares in 6,545 deals, corresponding to a market value of 4.378 billion naira, were traded. Today's data shows 63% improvement in volume, 29% decline in turnover, but 6% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization is 39 trillion naira. Regency Alliance Insurance recorded the highest volume of traded shares, followed by Owando, Nigeria, and the Universal Insurance Company. That is Business News. Network News continues.
Thank you, Benny. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has declared as inconclusive the March 18 governorship election in Zamfara State, which produced Dauda Lawal as the elected governor. The three-man panel of justices of the appellate court, in a unanimous judgment, voided and set aside the declaration of Dauda Lawal of the People's Democratic Party as the lawfully elected governor. Justice Sybil Nwakagbagi, who read the lead judgment, ordered that fresh election be conducted at Maradun local government area of the state and in other areas where voting was either cancelled or did not hold at all. The appellate court held that the use of IREV information to declare Lawal as governor in the absence of polling units results was unlawful, illegal and unconstitutional. The Independent National Electoral Commission had declared Dauda Lawal of the People's Democratic Party winner of the election. The All Progressives Congress governorship candidate, Bello Matawali, had challenged the outcome of the March 18 governorship election at the tribunal, but his petition was dismissed for lacking in merit. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, says it will review Saturday's governorship elections in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi states as the exercise fell below expectations. This was part of the resolutions of the party's National Working Committee meeting in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf reports.
It's the first meeting of the PDP National Working Committee to discuss recent developments in the party following the outcome of the November 11 governorship elections and other matters. Acting national chairman of the party, Umar Damagum, conveyed NWC position.
We have been doing everything possible to make sure that this party remain indivisible.
Damagum equally revealed that the Deputy National Secretary of the PDP, Sekonji Kushedo, has been mandated to continue acting as the National Secretary of the party in view of the conflicting court orders trailing the office. In the meantime, the coalition of the opposition United Political Parties, CUPP, is urging the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the Labour Party candidates in Imo State to approach the election tribunal and seek to upturn the declaration of Hope Uzodinma as governor-elect by INEC.
That we call on INEC to invoke the provision on review of false declaration as provided in the Electoral Act and recalculate and declare the PDP winner.
Meanwhile, some youth of Kogi State occupied the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Abuja to declare their utmost confidence in the umpire. The youth enjoined opposition parties to desist from blackmailing the INEC, emphasizing that the good people of Kogi State stand by the mandate given to the duly elected governor, Timothy Yusuf.
Time-free training have been identified as critical for excellent service delivery and invaluable in the health sector. It's against this background that Zemaya Communications International Limited is training staff of Zenith Kidney and Medical Center in Abuja on the culture of service excellence. Uche Ugochukwu reports.
Organizers of the training believe that from the gateman to medical doctors, the need for improved services is crucial in hospital management. This media consultant, Grace Zimaye Ebeba, harped on the need for caregivers at whatever cadre to render services in such a way as to make clients confident in their facility.
What I'm trying to do is to let staff know that they can provide the services they provide in a way that makes the customer or the client go away feeling very satisfied and wanting to come back to that organization.
We discovered there are some little gaps when it comes to professionalism and what have you. So the management deemed it fit to bring in a professional that can actually dissect the complexities and all that.
This patient service executive, Joy Otu, listens attentively to learn how to make better her services to clients.
We've learned one or two things on how to make patients feel comfortable around the hospital, because most times they come in with a lot of fears and all.
The media consultant demonstrated with a receptionist the necessary skills needed at the workplace and the place of teamwork in achieving service excellence. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
The Federal Executive Council mourns the death of a former Minister of Finance, Dr. Onolapo Shule, at the age of 90. A statement by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, recalls that Dr. Shule was appointed Minister of Finance under the military regime of General Muhammadu Buhari, where he played a pivotal role in initiating policies that strengthened the nation's currency and also discouraged the importation of goods into the country. The statement also describes the late former minister as a seasoned scholar, a prudent financial manager, a philanthropist, and a lover of God and humanity. As the Federal Executive Council commiserates with the government and people of Ogun State, his immediate family, it prays God to grant the soul of the departed eternal repose. And that concludes Network News tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Cyril Stover. Good night.